What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you are new here, please make sure you go ahead and slap that like button because it helps support the channel. Also, make sure you guys subscribe and hit that notification bell because, as you know, I don't have a post schedule, both on my main channel, variety channel, and my coaching channel. We only post when we feel cute. So you need to hit that notification bell so that you do not miss a video. Today on our content coaching channel, we have a very special guest. I am so excited because as a creator, you're always looking for representation. You're always looking for people who are somewhat like you so that you feel like you're doing somewhat of the right thing. And for me, I did not find that until I came across Troy on Instagram, and I immediately DM'd him and started fangirling over his music and his content. And it's just a full circle moment to have him here on the channel today. So I'm so excited to welcome singer, songwriter, influencer, body positive, juicy bear, Lord Troy. How are you?
Stop. You're making me blush. I'm turning bright red. You're so sweet. I'm good. I'm so happy to be here. When you reached out to me about this, I was like, oh, this is going to be a really fun conversation. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh my, well, from day one, I was scrolling through Instagram, and one of the first things I ever saw from you was on the pillow song and the music video, and I immediately DM'd you. I was just like, I'm letting him, because that's how I am. Like when I love something, I don't care if someone has 100,000 subscribers or followers.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm right in their DMs, like, love it, like.
Yeah, of course.
And I straight up messaged you, and you messaged me right back. So you've been sweet since day one. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. Wait, so did you see when you first found me? Was it the music video or was it just the song?
Gosh, I cannot remember.
The music video is like really risque, so I'm just curious if like you saw the music video first.
The music video, and because I'm big on YouTube, so as soon as I got to your page, I was like, oh, I want to see his channel. I want to see his channel. So I immediately went there, and I dart right to the music videos. And at that time, this was a little bit ago, so you didn't have as much out. So that was like one of the that was on.
So we can get into it, but yeah, I used to go by a different artist name, a whole different like Instagram name, everything.
Yeah.
So I released music and content under that name for probably like 4 or 5 years, and then I switched to Lord Troy, transitioned everything to that, and On My Pillow was the first. It was it? Oh my god, no, it wasn't the first. On My Pillow was probably like the third song as Lord Troy, so it was earlier on. I've released like 4 more since then, so it was like
yeah. I mean, since I started following you, whatever you release, I straight up like put on my story. I'm like, right, because again, I'm like, anyone who's out there who looks a little like me, like this world is just like, you need that, you know what I mean? When I just became a creator in 2020, and so I'm fairly new to it all, and that was one of the first things I realized. I was like, where are the bears? Like, where are my, like, you know what I mean? Like, where are, and it's not so much like, oh, I want to see a bunch of people who are like me. I just want that, like, that representation that shows that whether you're a grizzly old like bear or whatever it is, you can do whatever content you want to do. You can produce whatever music you want to do. And I think you do that so effortlessly, and it's inspired me to do that as well.
I wish it was effortless. I didn't know you just started making content in 2020. I feel like you're like a total pro. So kudos to you. You make it look effortless, but you both know it's not effortless. It takes so much preparation and like attention and creativity and like sleepless nights. So thank you for saying that. If anyone ever thinks that anything I do looks effortless, then I did my job right. So that's good.
Yeah. No, 2020 is when I started YouTube and music, and I released my music through my drag persona, Jasmine Anastasia. But the experience factor probably comes from the fact I did the years of drag out live in the world before I jumped to YouTube. So the experience is there. I just made that switch to being an online creator, right around the pandemic where everyone's changes. Yeah. So it was really cool. But I had a lot of fun starting that. And as soon as I did my first music video, that's kind of how I got wrapped up into YouTube, because I uploaded the video, my little makeshift video in my room, and I stared at the channel and I was like, we have a whole channel here. Like, let's do this. Like, let's. And along that journey of just learning the platform, I just could not find that representation. And then weeks later, I came across on Instagram, and it was just like that little boost I needed, because I was like, he's like killing it, and he's being nothing but himself. And that was big for me because I again started the 2020 music with my drag, but being my bare self, being my true self on my channel started to become such like a therapeutic adventure for me, where I got to be myself on my channel and express myself. So I think it's so cool that you're able to do that, not only on your channel and on your platforms, but through your music. I'm like, I'm here for it. Like
It's funny because like when I was under a bear named Troy, I kind of felt like the opposite. I felt like the music was so different and like what I was saying was so different. It was still really fun and I like love that music. I think it was just like sound wise, it sounds very fun.
yes.
But the transition to Lord Troy happened because I was like, I'm not being like 100%, not that I wasn't being authentic, but I wasn't able to like 100% share everything about me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was writing songs about, you know, like body positivity, which is awesome. But then I was writing songs about like loving champagne and French fries and like
Mm-hmm.
just like very silly, kitschy, fun stuff, which
Yeah.
I still love. But like I think transitioning to Lord Troy gave me the freedom to like give a more like 360 approach to like who I am as an artist and what I want to share. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I released a song called Your Part, which is all about like the loss of my mother over the holidays. And like,
Wow.
that's not a song I really could have done as a bear named Troy. It just wouldn't have made any sense. It was
Yeah.
not part of that, like that brand. And so I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you. Like, it's the authenticity and like figuring out how you can best like show everything that you are, everything that you're willing to share in like the most impactful way that's like meaningful to yourself and to everyone and to your audience. So I appreciate you noticing that, and I'm glad you found a way to do it for yourself. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
fun.
No. It's a breath of fresh air to be able to be myself. And I feel like I'm lucky to have grown so fast in the YouTube world, and it's beautiful. And I feel like the success I've had there is like similar to the success you had with music. And I feel like that comes from both of us just being vulnerable, just being ourselves, like just being, you know, not a character or persona wrapped around us, just literally ourselves. And I think that's so important for newer creators to know, because so many people are like, oh, what do I do? Like, what people ask me, what kind of content do I make? How do I act? What do I say? And I'm like, I can't emphasize anymore. Be yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it really does come down to like just purely authenticity, and like
Yeah.
that's always been like my number one thing is like if it doesn't feel authentic to me, then I really don't. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I see a lot of times, like yeah, I've even caught myself like heading down a different direction and being like, you know, oh well, if I just did this, it'll like work for the algorithm and it'll make and I have to stop myself and be like, I'm not here for an algorithm. I'm not here for followers. I'm not here for that. I'm here to like create art and share it and be like really real and honest. And I think that what I've learned is that the more I just do that, all the other stuff will fill in. Like I think that, you know, I oftentimes toggle with like, well, I probably have to be more, I probably have to have more of like an artist identity. Like people have to kind of know what my style is and like what my sound is and all this stuff. And then I also am kind of like, but do they? Like, can't I just do whatever I want? Can I do whatever makes me happy? So I get it. I get that any new creator, no matter what field you're in, would feel this sense of like, but I gotta do what I think is, you feel like you have to chase something different. But I noticed the most success for myself when I just like do me, and then it just ends up working out better that way. So I'm trying to always remember that like I just gotta do me.
Yeah. And
Try to
it's
chase
one of those things where it's like easier to say than do. It's
100%.
like you think of so many things you do to yourself and you're like, oh, that's cringe, or I don't want to reveal that, or I don't want to do this. And all those ideas where I'm like this close to like not posting it or not saying it, those end up being the messages that hit the hardest. And I'm like, okay, so we have to say everything that's on our mind then.
Or saying like more times than not, like I'm very like I don't really care what I show on the internet. Like I don't know, like I'm kind of like I like the camera and I like being like on the internet, like being on camera.
Yeah.
So I get more so like, oh, is this entertaining enough? Like if it is me sharing this little moment like actually going to matter to anybody? And I have to remind myself that like it doesn't really matter if it does or doesn't. If it matters to me, then I should share it. I should do it. I should like talk about it or whatever it is. So similar but different. Like, yeah, I always have to question like, is anyone going to care about this?
Yeah.
But, like sometimes I'm kind of like, I don't know. Everything is so clickbaity nowadays. So I'm always like, well, if I'm not offering up something clickbaity, like, is someone going to care about it? And the truth is, like, it really shouldn't matter, and it doesn't matter. I just have to do it. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the most beautiful. So many people are always striving, you know, for a certain amount of followers or subscribers, and it's good and bad. And the good part about is when you do have that, you do get to this point where you get to post and it can truly be anything. Because at one point you're gonna, and you get a following that is there for you. So
yeah.
you know what I mean? And I think that you are healthily at that point, and so am I in my YouTube world, where I know that not everyone is gonna run to my video. I know that, but I do know I have a core people who, no matter what I post, they will be there. So
Yeah.
when I think about those ideas and those things that we want to post and we want to say, I think about those people, you know what I mean? And I do it for them. I really do.
100%. Mm-hmm.
So take me back. That was a huge question I actually had, because I was going back through your channel and I saw the bear named Troy, and I was gagged because I do ratchet pop. That's like my thing. I produce ratchet pop music. I'm obsessed. I'm like really stuck on that era, and just like Britney, Slutty, Lil Kim, like all that nastiness. Like, so when I saw Thick, I gagged. And what I love the most is that I understand you did the brand turnover, but I love that Thick stayed on your channel and that I was able to go back and just live that moment with you. What was it like starting? Like, so did you start YouTube and start A Bear Named Troy with the thought of doing music, or did you kind of just, how'd that work out?
So I had started A Bear Named Troy on Instagram first, and that was my first, whatever. I don't even know what it is, like just like creator. I don't know, like creator identity.
Your little creator seed.
Like, yeah. So I started as that, and I started getting brand deals, and I was like, oh, this could be a thing that I can actually like do. So it really started off as just like a style thing. I just like to post. I had just come out and like when I was like 21. And that's like probably a year later is when I started, year or 2 later is when I started. No. A year later is when I started posting style photos, but I was under a different handle. And those style photos started getting like attention. And I was like, interesting. And then I had discovered the bear community, and I was like, oh, like, what's this whole thing about? I don't know. Like, I was just a baby gay and I had no idea what was going on. And then I realized that I was like, I was a member of the bear community without really realizing it.
Yes.
And so that's what kind of like brought me to the point of creating A Bear Named Troy. I was kind of like, oh, like I'm really creative and I have all these creative ideas I want to do, and I like posting style photos and so let me like create this persona.
Yeah.
And so then it actually happened that I was A Bear Named Troy for like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years before I made music. And the music was truly like something I've always wanted to do, but I was like, well, no one's ever told me throughout my life that, like I have a beautiful singing voice. So maybe I don't have a good voice. Like I literally was like, no one's ever validated my desire to sing. So maybe I shouldn't do it. And then I had this idea in 2018. I was going to Coachella and I had this idea. I was like, what if I did like, just as a joke, like I made these tour t-shirts that have like a photo of me on them, and they're all like, cool and like weird, and they have like I tie-dyed them, they're all like fun, and they look like tour t-shirts. And I was like, what if I drop a single Saturday night at Coachella and like make it a big stupid thing and make it really funny? And I was like, and it was gonna be Thick. And I like hit up a friend of mine who's a producer, and I was like, hey, can we do this? And he's like, well, it's Monday and Coachella's Saturday, so no. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't understand why. And he's like, it takes more than 5 days to make a song. And I'm like, right. Oh. So it was truly like, I used humor as my entry point.
Yeah.
And but the truth is, Thick is like super like cheeky and like, it's whatever, like it's fun and funny, it's so real. Like I love that song and I love the message behind it, and like I have thought of the many, many, many ways that I can't wait to like reimagine Thick and all those songs, and like reimagine them as Lord Troy and like reintroduce them, because I think that they're just like, I don't know. I love that you said that you love that it's still up, because I want them to all still be on somewhere online, because it's like, that's where it started. Like I like people to see that transition and that journey, because I think that's like, we always think people are like overnight successes, but like, that's just not true. So
I was going to say,
it all started as a Coachella joke. That's how it all started.
that vulnerability, that it's there and that you're willing to like let that be
Yeah.
part of your story, I love, because even like with the clients that I coach here on the channel and everything, so many people are always like, oh, like, should I change my name, or should I don't want to change my username, I don't want to change my, you know, there's so many parts of this journey where you may come to that crossroads where you want to change your username, and it may be for the better of your brand or for the not. And I feel like yours was a great transition, but it's nice for people to be able to backstep and see where you came from. I think that's so important. Yeah.
And it was really like for me, it was just kind of like, I think it was a little compacted. Like it was right around the time when like the election was happening, and Trump was being like, you know, was obviously like a nominee to become the president. I remember I posted something like, I was like standing in front of someone who like graffitied on a wall like "fuck Trump," and I just took a photo in front of it and I posted it, and I was like, "What the wall said?" I forgot what the caption was, and literally someone commented, "Wow, I really hate that you shared this. Like, I wish you would just go back to being a cuddly teddy bear." And that was like, it made me realize that not everyone, and it probably was very singular, probably was only maybe this person, maybe a couple other people that saw me a certain way, like saw me as this like friendly, like I can only be happy and I can only have joyful moments on the internet. Like I can only be this way on the internet. And I think having that experience just made me realize, oh, like I've not been able to share all that I wanted to share. So changing to Lord Troy was like, even beyond the music, it was just something I had to do for me personally so that I could feel like free to just like, because I've been on the internet for so long. It's like I've been on the internet as a persona, and I was like, I still want to have a brand. I still want to have like Lord Troy as like my artist brand, but I want to be able to be on social media and be like, I'm not posting about anything today other than like BLM, or I'm not posting about anything other than today about like watching stupid Christmas movies. Like I want to be able just to do whatever I want. And I didn't feel like I could do that with a Bare Name Troy. When I realized I was being kind of like seen differently when I talked about political things, I was like, oh, no. We're all so much more than what we perceive someone to be on the internet. It's like, I wanted to make sure that was very clear that I'm so much more than that. So but that's always my encouragement to people is like, if it feels right to you to change to something and to transition to something or change your name or change your, whatever it is, like that's the best part about life and like the internet is like you can change, you can like you can evolve and grow, and like whatever feels right to you is what you're able to do. So
it's so funny you mention like that one comment, because I feel like there's always that one person. And you know, when I first started YouTube, people were constantly telling me like, are you sure you can do it? Do you have a thick skin? They're really mean out there. And I always like to tell people like the truth is, yes, there's hate comments all over social media, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is. But it's so funny you mentioned like that one person, because I know that one person, you know what I mean? And it's always that one, and it's so sad because it's hundreds of love comments and it's that one person. And it's so funny how that one person can make us think about a whole brand change. Or, like it's funny / sad / it's crazy that they have that much power. It's only one comment, but we still think about it so much, and it's just
because for that one, it's like I've obviously gotten comments before like that are just horrendous, like just terrible, mean things. I'm lucky that I don't get a lot of those, but I do get them sometimes, like just weird comments, and those never bother me. And this one, it actually didn't even bother me like what the person said. It just bothered me the implication that like I can't be more than the one thing you see me as. Like I didn't even feel insulted. I just felt like, oh, I am stifled. The stifled feeling that I have felt for the last year is real because someone in my audience said the same, you know, like mirrored it back to me. So it wasn't insulting as much as it was just like, oh yeah, that's true. Like I really, like people just see me or, you know, people, it's not necessarily true, but like the way I interpret it was like, yeah, I'm being perceived as someone who can only be kitschy and fun and colorful and rainbows and unicorns, and I can't have any real opinion on something. And I was like, listen, I'm like a fat queer person. Like I have life experience. I've endured serious like death and loss. And there's a lot of things about me that I'm like, you are gonna want to can, like, I'm gonna want to connect with you and you're gonna want to connect with me on those things. And like this just proves that I've created a universe where I can't do that like freely. So it was just very like, it was like a mirror, and that person has no idea that that's what they were doing. They were just being whatever they were being, but like they held a mirror to me being like, you're holding yourself back from really sharing parts of you that you know are really important to you. So I like think it's important. Like I always say, like, haters are always going to be like, there's always going to be trolls, there's always going to be people that are going to say like nasty things, and unless there's someone that like, I actually know, and like if I wouldn't go to them for advice, like I don't really trust their opinion, I don't really care about what they say about me. So I try to let that not be something that gets to me. But that one comment just, it shook me up.
Yeah, I would say, you know, one of the best things to do when people it's so funny how it becomes people. It's just that one person. When someone feels that way and it starts to get to you, one of the things I started doing, like for my brand and my channel, is kind of getting vulnerable and filming those sad moments. Like when I was dealing with grief and a loss, my channel was all cute and peppy too. And guess what? The minute I had a boyfriend who passed away a couple months ago, I put all that right in the channel. And you know what I mean? Because I couldn't fathom people thinking like I was one tone, like, because everything what you're saying is like, I completely understand. And I know that's what no one ever even said that to me. And I already knew that's what they were thinking, because I never took the time to show other elements of myself. So the minute I saw myself changing as a person because of the trauma I endured, I was like, I'm telling them. And that was the beginning of me flowing in content from my life with the fun drag music, with the music videos. And that's how I kind of developed into a variety channel, because I was like, you guys are going to get all of me or we're not doing this. You know what I mean?
So amazing. I mean, one, I'm so sorry for your loss. It's terrible.
Thank you.
Two, I think it's really beautiful that you were able to take that experience and find a way to like kind of like heal through it, like heal however it worked for you. And I think it's really beautiful that you discovered like you want to, and like it makes you feel better to share all the parts of you with, you know, your audience or the world in general, whoever discovers you. So I think that's really beautiful. And I love that for you.
It like pieces together your puzzle, because say that happens and then you release another song in a month, or you do another fun video in a month, it kind of like shows as to why you're acting the way you're acting in that new song or in that new video. Like, so to miss those middle points of how I got to where I am, it just made sense for me to tell my story. So that would be my advice to anyone out there who like is cautious about letting people into their personal lives. It can be so beneficial to just release every emotion in every chapter, because it's only going to help people understand you and your brand more. And, you know, in the case where you need to be human and you need a day or two off, you then have, you know, you don't have to fully explain yourself, because anyone who knows you or follows the channel will be updated on your life, you know?
Yeah, 100%. It's like that consistent transparency and the consistent authenticity.
Yeah.
I think that like keeps people, I mean, that's what we all want out of like our artists, out of our careers that we follow, or that we like to get, you know, we believe we know, because we see the moments in their life that are both the glamorous and the highlight reel. We also see the real moments, and we see the emotional moments. And it's like, you know, we also all can read when those moments don't feel real. Even if it's like a really emotional moment, we can all kind of tell when it feels inauthentic. And that's like a natural feeling that we are kind of programmed to know.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, as long as, because usually what happens is those moments come in when that person hasn't been super transparent and like present and authentic the whole way through. Usually that's just like, they like randomly dip in and they're like, I'm crying on camera. And you're kind of like, is this apology real? Like, you haven't, what are you talking about? Like, so it's just interesting, because like, I think it comes down to like, just once you realize it just comes down to being totally yourself and being open and like willing to share. Like, you know, there's definitely moments in my life that I'm never going to share on camera. Like, it's just, and it's not even because I would be ashamed of them or embarrass them. It's because they're just like sacred to me. Like, you know, when I was engaged, we first got engaged, my husband and I, we got engaged, and I was like, I don't really want to share this for like a year, maybe longer. I don't know. I want to be engaged. I don't want it to be a thing. I just want it to be like our thing. And the moment we share it, it becomes like anyone who cares about its thing, which is awesome. But I just wanted it to be our thing for a little while. So I think it's also, that's, I think, just to say, that's also really fine if like you're someone on the internet who is a creator who also doesn't want to share everything.
Yeah,
Like
no,
you can
definitely.
have those boundaries, and like, you know, it's like you can have them, and no one can shit on you for that, because if you have a boundary, you have to respect someone's boundaries. So yeah, it's,
and you should have them to a degree, because I think the longer someone's in this business, you do kind of lose track of what's appropriate to speak
right.
about and what's not. And for me, like again, on that personal level, like because I've opened that door, it's sometimes I do have to catch myself and be like, okay, just because, you know,
Yeah.
I did X, Y, and Z doesn't mean I have to continue. Like we don't have
Yeah.
to tell them every tragedy. So yeah,
Yeah.
there is definitely, yeah, there's a scale. So it's nice to play on it and definitely see like what's best for you. I think everyone is individual when it comes to that. You know what I mean? So
Oh yeah, I mean, like you, like perfect example, like you do it through your channel, and then you have like your music, which is a different self-expression for
yeah,
you. And for me, it's like I share, like I'll notice I'll share bits and pieces of intimate things, like I'll share little stories here and there, but then it's like for me, it's the music that tells the bigger story. Like to me, it's
yes.
like I'll share, like I share every Thanksgiving, like, you know, a little message for my mom,
Oh,
but like a song like Your Part tells you the story. Like it gives you more context for what it is, because it's just, that's the way it feels natural to me to like share and write about it, and like to be vulnerable and honest. And it just
yeah,
it always feels like a song to me. I think that's what shifted for me too, is like making music as Lord Troy. It turned into like, rather than just creating songs that sounded really fun, like I realized that wasn't fulfilling what I needed. What I needed was to create songs that like answered some feeling in my own self. Like I needed to like scratch an itch that I had, and like, do I want people to like the music? Always, but it like first and foremost has to make me feel like I like I let something out, I let something go, and I let something, like, it's, you know, I kind of like make fun of people who are always like, well, like writing is like my therapy, like music is like my, it's so cathartic, but it really is like
yeah.
it's so cliche, but it's really true.
No, it is. It's like tearing a page out of a diary and releasing
Yeah,
it to the world. It really, really
yeah,
is.
it
It's
really, really.
funny because like I said, I come from that ratchet pop world. So I immediately fell in love with Thick. But I think what makes me love you as an artist and shows for your music is that I was able to listen and love Thick and then cross right over and listen to like Cruel is one of my favorite songs from you. Like I'll let you know right now.
Cool.
And then also Me and My Anxiety. I mean,
Yeah,
songs like that, they're so different, but
yeah,
that's what like that was a huge part of like me falling in love with you, is I was like, wow, I can jam to him and
yeah,
I can get into my feelings with him. Like
yeah.
that's what I want in the music I listen to. I want to be able to cross from genre to genre and really know that that person can capitalize on that. So what was your writing process like for something like Me and My Anxiety? Like was that straight from the diary, or like what was that like?
Yeah, it was there was, so like there was that period of time which you obviously hear in the music that like it's kind of like those songs, kind of like Me and My Anxiety, Cruel, The Light, like those songs all kind of go together, like in terms of like sound wise. I was in that place of like, I don't know who I am yet. I'm like trying to figure it out. I'm like, there was lots of other just like outside anxiety factors. And so I would write a lot about just like my anxiety and how like I would feel. And I remember I had like my first ever like anxiety slash panic attack. And I remember writing all about it the next day, where I just like was just writing. I wasn't trying to write a song. I was just writing what I felt.
Mhm.
And I just remember it was like, I couldn't breathe and the room was spinning and the whole thing. And on that song, I worked with my friend Hannah Avison, and our friend Jonathan, and our friend Elias produced it. And we just, yeah, we like sat down, and I was like, oh, was that Rosie? I feel like I work with the same people for so many songs. Like I mix them all up in terms of which one gets written with who.
No, that's cool.
Uh,
I wanted to know all about that because
yeah,
I'm like a one woman show over here. So
yeah.
I love hearing about people's process. So what is that with friends or those people that you
I want to
met with as well?
confirm. I want to confirm that anxiety was with who I think it's with, because
And do you usually collab up for writing process or
sometimes. So like for instance, like Why can't I find it? For because and the reason why I'm having a hard time too is because we wrote On My Pillow was the first one I wrote. I wrote it with Hannah and Jonathan, and then we wrote. Yes, okay, now I'm remembering. It was On My Pillow was first, but On My Pillow got released much later, so that's why I'm like all flipped up. On My Pillow was first. It was me, Hannah, and Jonathan, and Elias produced it, and then we wrote Me, My Anxiety with Hannah and Rosanna Brown, and Elias produced that one as well. And Rosie went on to be like my vocal coach, and like I've written other songs. I wrote Patrick Swayze with her. So yeah, sorry, that's a very convoluted way.
No, that's fine. I love it.
Yeah,
I love all those songs. So I'm like,
I think of it all in my head. Yeah, like so. For first, to answer your question about anxiety. So yeah, I just had written like about my panic attack, and I was like, guys, like we had a writing schedule, the session scheduled, and I was like, I don't know what to write about other than like I am just in a like hangover from an anxiety attack. And they were like, tell us all about it. And I just was like saying, I was like, well, it was my first time ever having one. I like couldn't sleep. My heart was pounding. Like I was like literally just like grabbing myself to like try to see if I could feel myself. It was like a weird sensation of like room spinning, numbing, couldn't breathe, couldn't have covers on me, but needed covers on me, couldn't have my husband on me, but needed him to hold me. It was so bad. It was a really weird experience, which I'm sure anybody who's ever had a panic attack or anxiety attack knows. And they were like, well, I think this is what we need to write about today. And I was like, great. I was like, yeah, I would love to write myself a song that I can like listen to maybe like ground myself when I'm having anxiety. And so that's where like we had the whole song kind of talks about the experience of anxiety attacks, but then the bridge is like count to 10, make it go away. Like it's trying to really like bring it back down to earth and ground me. And yeah, it was a really, really interesting experience writing that song. Just because it was so fresh.
yeah.
But in general, like it depends. Like, so Palm Springs, I wrote completely by myself. Your Part, I wrote completely by, or well, Your Part was me and Elias. It's tough to say. So it's like with songs like Your Part, like for instance, I wrote a bunch. Like I wrote like a long poem essentially. And then Elias and I, who's my producer, we like would for that one, we went in and we kind of like made it sound like more lyrical, and then like we reworked it so that it was like the structure was it was like more of a collaborative thing, but pretty much everything that was sung and written was like from what I had originally wrote. A couple things he added, so it always depends. Like
yeah,
me, my anxiety was very much I gave everybody the feelings I was having, and then Rosie and Hannah were just like, we got it, and they were just like, what about da, 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 da? And it was like, holy crap, like it was just wild watching them come to life. Palm Springs, I just heard a guitar chord and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I just started writing, and I just like wrote the whole song, and I was like, wow, this is okay, like it's cool. And then I shared it with Elliot, and he was like, this is perfect. So like Patrick Swayze, that was with like Rosie and her sister. I think it's interesting, like I challenge myself a lot to write alone, because I want to be better at being a songwriter. Like writing comes to me first, and I want to keep like honing in on that and like getting better and better and better at that way. When I'm in a room with maybe if I'm working with another artist and I want to write for them, like I want to be able to tap into that and know how to just like start writing. I also want to just be able to like write a bunch of ideas, that way I can start picking from all of them to like decide what is something I really want to explore. But what I really mostly enjoyed about the writing process is getting to work with new people. Like I'm working with someone new now named Cole, and like our first writing session together, we wrote an entire song in 2 hours, and I was like, this song is so good. Like, and so it's like I think that the fun part about making music is getting to make it with other people, and like getting to like be creative and like connect with people through what I believe to be like the most important thing in the world. Like I think music is like, I'm just like a very, very, very big music fan. Like I really like love music, and it like really messes me up sometimes, where I'll be like, you know what, if I couldn't have anything else in the world, but I could have like music, I would be still I would find a way to be okay. Like I like love music so much.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so it's I think like for me, collaboration has been really fun in just getting to like I don't know, even just think about how words and sentences and lyrics can go together differently and how to create melody. Like it's just been very like I feel like I've been able to be like a sponge with other people who've been doing this for a lot longer than me. Even though I do feel more and more now confident that like I could write a song on my own and I'll feel very proud of it.
Yeah.
I still really like working with people because I think it teaches me something new every time. And like it's always good to have like a cheerleader who's like, you're on the right path, like keep going, you got it. Like you know, it's like to have a sounding board is really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're all some are by myself, some are with other people. The ones I'm working on now, and the ones I'm working on now are so totally different than like the last four. It's just like
can't wait.
yeah, it's really the new sound. Oh my god, Nigel, like it's so good. I'm so excited. Like I'm so excited by it.
It's funny because me and my anxiety, I hear what you're saying and how it came to be, but it's so funny how the end product is so relaxing, so therapeutic. Like you're telling me this horrible story about how you were feeling, and I'm like, I was just vibing to that earlier.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like
Yeah.
and I think that has to do a lot with the fact that it was a collab. Because say it was just you making that song, I feel like you would have made it a little darker. And I think the fact that you collab with someone, they were able to turn it into music, turn it into a flow. You know what I mean? So I'm like grateful for that.
I'm like dark. I get more dark than I get like, and that was the thing about Lord Troy I learned was I was like, oh, naturally I want to write like sad shit, or I want to write like vindictive things, very like, you know, catty, like me being like, oh, you hurt me once, so I'm going to ruin your life. It's like it's my chance to like let it all out. And it comes from the years of trauma that I never got to like say things to someone's face or like have my closing of the book moment with people. So it's like that's where a lot of that comes from. And then so I think that's where like Cruel is a great example of like a song that like if you look at those lyrics, like it's like vindictive, and it's like it's sad. It's like a sad story about someone who like just completely manipulated me. But
the way you sing it is just
the sound is
like
you want to like coast down the PCH and just like drive along the ocean. It's like
it's but not only that, but I'm really stuck on like the 90s, like 90s movies, 90s horror, 90s pop, all of that. Your songs give me like, I feel like I'm like chilling in the actual Cruel Intentions movie. Like I feel, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean it just because the song is cruel. I mean the actual sound. I feel like Sebastian's about to roll up on me and try to take my virginity. Like I just and like that.
If we could only be so lucky.
But listen, the fact that I can reminisce on it and feel like Reese Witherspoon in Cruel Intentions while I listen to your song, that's enough for me. You know what I mean?
Oh, that means so much to me. Thank you for saying that. That's like the coolest.
Yeah, and they tie in. Like they all have that sound that it sounds great in today's world, but I could imagine it being in the opening credits instead of Bittersweet Sympathy, you know, and like I can imagine it being in these movies, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love this sound. So I do love that you're going to tap into other sounds though, but this previous sound that you have.
Yeah, like I think what's interesting about it is like the new sound I'm working on is, I will say, a little bit of like a mix of everything I've already done. Nice. And I think what I've learned, and what I think any creator, anybody creating in any type of art space can learn, is like it's okay if you don't have the finished product the first time, the second time, the third time, the 10th time, the 12th time. It's like everything builds upon itself, and I feel like you're always at where you're supposed to be at in your creative process when you're at it. Yeah. So for me, it's like I did all the Brand Name Troy songs, which are all fun and like, you know, just like super ridiculous and like, you know, over the top. And then I did some Lord Troy songs that were more serious thematically, but still had that like electronic pop kind of sound. So it was like fun and up. Mm-hmm. And then I went through the phase of like Palm Springs and Patrick Swayze and Your Part and On My Pillow, which had a bit more of that like, you know, country rock, pop, alt kind of sound, where it was more like telling little campfire stories. And so I think moving forward, I'm like really excited because like I think we're pulling from sound and like concept and themes from like everything I've done to create like, I don't know, like I'm just such like, I love that you said the 90s because I'm such a 90s and 80s music lover and like early 2000s. Like I'm a nostalgic type of music listener.
Yeah.
So I get very excited when like artists make sound that's like, you know, like very nostalgic feeling. Like I think like, you know, it's just, I don't know, it transports you. And so I think for me, I'm always trying to, with like style, with music, with anything I'm doing, is to not timestamp it, to not put a date to it, but make something that feels familiar and new and exciting, but also like you've heard it before maybe, but it's just like somehow like very like comforting in that feeling of like, I trust where this is going and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm down for the ride. Because that's what I want out of my own self. Like I want to like trust that what we're doing is like will make me feel good. So like you've heard a little bit, you've heard Teenage Honeymoon. That's through, we did that. I use that song for my beauty brand, Party Beauty. We use that for our launch video. So if you've heard that, you've heard a little bit of like where the sound's going.
Yes,
I get so excited talking about music. I like love talking about music so much.
I know. Look, didn't I tell you? I was like, this hour can go by so fast because there's when it's creator to creator.
Oh my God, it really is.
No, that's what I'm saying. It goes by so quick. And that's because I always tell people like, we don't always get the chance to talk to other artists. And I know me personally, like this series on my channel has been so therapeutic because I love my friends and family, but I can only talk about the algorithm and songwriting. And like, I can only talk about that stuff so much with them. So you're sitting here going off and I'm just listening because it's been like, I know how it feels to not have anyone to talk to.
But I want to know about your music too. So do you produce your own stuff or do you work with a producer? Do you write with people? Like, what's your process?
Yeah, so my first single, I collabed with a producer, a really cool experience because she was one of my favorite producers growing up. She was dominating YouTube with all these like Vogue remixes and I just grew up listening to her. And that was like the beginning of me being like, you know what, we're sliding in DMs, we're just gonna try this. And I straight up asked her, I was like, do you do commission for songs? Will you help me create a single? She said yes, we collabed, we did the song together. And as soon as it was released, I immediately had the bug. And what I realized is that it can be a little costly to work with other people. So, you know, she had to learn to do it herself. So I love to tell that story because so many people are always afraid to just download the Logic Pro and get in there and make beats. And what I say to that is just do it. And the same thing with the YouTube channel. You're afraid to start, you're afraid to do the first video, just do it. Both of those ventures for me, I walked into blindly. The first video sucked and the first song's not the best, but let me tell you, like it's been the time of my life. And I'm 5 songs in right now. So the 4 after the first one were all me, besides a remix. And that's because I love it so much. And it was either I do it or it doesn't get done. So
yeah, I'm with you. I'm one of those people that's like, I try so many times to like produce my own music and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm like, I don't know like how to do this. So hearing you say that that's like how you got like how you're making music, I'm like, shit, I just need to like.
You're also though, you're in that area. And I love to talk about this in these interviews is that, you know, the difference between the East Coast and West Coast is sometimes those opportunities. Yeah. And I being an artist and a creator for so many years, I already know obviously those best places to be for that, but I can't help where I'm at. So it's just one of those things where like we were talking about earlier in the video, like we work with what we got, you know what I mean? So I jumped right into it. And I couldn't be happier because I love my music and I find myself, even some days I check the Spotify page, it's like, how many people listen to it today? I'm like, oh, just me, totally fine. Like, I'm totally good at that.
It doesn't matter. The truth is it all, like I have been through, I still am through, like to me, I don't have enough streams. Like I'll never have enough streams. Right. There'll never be enough people listening to my music. But like, I had to get to a place where I was like, you know what? It doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. Like I like what I'm making. One day, somewhere, some way, someone's gonna hear it and it will be the right person and things will move and it'll be great. Yeah. But in the meantime, you have to just enjoy what you're doing and like not chase shit and not go after the things that like don't actually serve you and more so focus on creating what you enjoy. If it takes, it's like, you know, I used to think I had to be on this regimen of like, oh, I have to release a song every 2 or 3 months. Like it has to be this thing, da, 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 da. And it's like, you know what? Like, no, I'm gonna just release music when it feels right. and I'm gonna release music after I've given, you know, all the other songs their time to shine. Like, you know, I'm just now seeing people discover Palm Springs. It's like people are just now realizing that I've released. I have some people who don't even know that I make music, and they've been following me for like 8 years. And I'm like that's how awful the algorithm is. So it's like I've just decided to stop worrying about the algorithm and worry about trying to reach my audience. And so it's definitely helped. That mindset's helped change how I create content to then, which has then worked to get people to listen to my music. So it's just, I would always say, like, don't worry about algorithms, don't worry about streaming numbers, don't worry about anything.
Oh yeah, I had to stop also just because I naturally do not create radio friendly music. Like, I create super vulgar, risque, hypersexualized music.
Which we love.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people like immediately like to read me for that right away, or say it's too much, or left, right, you know, whatever. I know in my heart, the long story short is that I did not always love my bare body. I did not always love who I was. So I spent all of my 20s not having sex, not sleeping with people, not dating, all because I didn't love my body. And those feelings of wanting to act out and get a little crazy came out in my music. So people are like, "Oh, this song's a lot," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not doing it. It's just like," you know what I mean? That's just how she was
even
thinking.
If you were doing it, like, great, you should. Like, I think that's exactly like. That's the best part about music.
That's funny because I'm doing it now. And so in so many ways, like, it has.
And now you can do it to your own music. You can play I haven't done that yet. I have not had sex to my own music. I think that'd be very interesting.
Well, I literally have created songs for.
You could do that.
Yeah. So like on purpose, and I'll send it to friends like, "This is for you and your man. Check this out. Like, try it out."
That's amazing. Yeah, I feel like the only song I could have sex to of mine is like Thick or Cruel. And other than that, like, I don't really know what else I would. Like, can you imagine, like, it's like Patrick Swayze's playing? And it's just,
I mean, I would definitely cuddle it up to Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but then as things progress, we might have to change. Yeah, we'll put on Thick for sure.
Yeah. Thick is a good one to have sex to. That one's a funny one.
Oh my gosh. But circling around this, so you as a music artist, obviously amazing. Your music is so relaxing and it's transcendent. And I've already said how much I love it. And I want everyone to make sure you guys check out all of his tracks on Spotify. And I'm here and so excited for all the new releases. And hopefully, as you see, this is going by so fast. So hopefully we can have you back and we can kind of. I love to do analytical like dive-ins to albums and songs. So if you do a release and you want to come on and just tell me all about it, I would love that.
I'm so down.
Yeah, that would be awesome. You have this gift to switch between genres and like completely slay when you get there. So I'm so excited to see where you go with music. I'll be following every step of the way. But before we part ways, I do want to get a little information and dive into your more influencer journey, because I'm so impressed and inspired by the way you have chose to promote yourself with Spotify and TikTok and cross-referencing and cross-algorithm and cross-platforms. And you know what I mean, and I know what you mean, but so many people, I spend times coaching people on what you already do. So I think you're so brilliant when it comes to that. And I'm so interested to find out your journey of not only your first couple of sponsorships, but leading up to being a CEO of your own company. I really like, what was that journey like for you? Because personally, it's been a struggle. Even at, I just reached 40,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I've reached out to some brands who have worked with, you know, more mainstream YouTubers. And I found it a little like unsettling that, like, you know, I'm not getting the responses. And I kind of felt like it was because I wasn't, you know, that girl from LA, you know what I mean? So I love to see that, like, you've had sponsorships, you continue to get them, you're a CEO, because it shows me that it's possible. So what was that journey like for you, like that part of things?
Yeah, so I got my first, it wasn't even really a brand deal. It was like a collab where like they gave me free sweatshirts in exchange for posts. This was back in like late 2015, early 2016. And that's when it literally turned into me being like, oh my God, I can just get like free clothes. Cool. I was like, cool.
That's usually how the first one is. It's like they get you with that free item. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wow, I can get free clothes. Cool. And then I was like, what else can I get for free? And then it turned into like, you know, I never was asking for money. I was always asking for product in exchange for posting, and a lot of, I wasn't going for massive brands yet. I was going for like smaller ones. I guess what I realized what I was doing that I didn't know I was doing was building a portfolio. Like I was just building like a brand portfolio of like smaller brands I could work with that I could at least show down the line that I didn't know I was going to have to, but like I was then able to show like, oh, well, when I worked with this brand and I did this post about this skincare, like this was my engagement. So, hey, like, hey, larger skincare brand company, like this is what it was like when I worked with this one. Like I wonder if it would be the same. So it like built a little mini portfolio that I wasn't planning, I didn't know I was doing, but I was.
But you knew in your head that it was something and it was working.
Yeah, I knew it was working. I knew that it was like, something was happening, and I was getting more followers and people were reacting really well to the content I was creating. And like, I was sharing things I actually really liked. Like I was sharing, products and like, events and things I really enjoyed going to and I really enjoyed, using. So it was like, to me, if I could get those same things that I love for free, I'm happy to post about them. I don't care. So that went on for like probably a couple of years before I got like, I think maybe like a year and a half, 2 years before I got paid for my first one.
Where were you like per se like on Instagram following when you got like your first couple of deals?
So the first time I got like for the first like couple of like product trades, I think I was at like 10,000 followers.
Okay.
And then what ended up happening was over like that year, I like was featured in like a couple of BuzzFeed articles. It was when the conversation around male body positivity became like a topic, like a buzz topic. Yeah. And so I got lumped into a lot of those articles, a lot of those like, those things and like those posts and things. So I did so much press that year, and like that helped grow my following so fast.
Yeah.
And so I basically went from like 10,000 to I think it was like 30 or 40,000 within a year.
Wow.
And so that opened up the door for a lot of other opportunities, because by that point it was like I had just been reaching out all the time. And then it was like once in a while, and now a brand would reach out to me and I would be like, what? Like, how am I on their radar? It turned into that. And then it was like, BuzzFeed asked I wanted to do an actual like shoot with them for a full like, like testing out like different sizes in ASOS. Like, so it was like I got to do an actual BuzzFeed video and then like some other videos. It was like it started to all build for itself off of Instagram. But at that time, it was when you could do that and then it would all funnel back to Instagram. Like you would grow off the Instagram, and then because you were growing in other places, like it actually generated new followers. Nowadays, I think it's a little bit more difficult to do that.
Like but changing by the day with
changing by the day. So yeah, it was that. And then I'm trying to think of, I can't remember who my very first paid brand deal was. I like really can't remember. I should probably dig and figure that out, because it'd be cool to know.
Yeah.
Like at this point, I've worked with like Fenty Beauty. I worked with Fenty Skin. I worked with Svedka.
I'm like bowing down.
But it's crazy because like I guess ASOS was the first big brand I worked with that gifted me. Like I remember when I got connected to ASOS and they were like, we're gonna give you like 10 free items of clothing. And I'm like, what? I'm like, ASOS? Like my dream brand. That was my dream. I was like, oh my God, like I made it. Like I'm working with my dream brand. ASOS ended up like flying me to New York, and we did some fashion week stuff.
Wow.
And and they flew me to London and we met with the design team. So it was like all these things were happening and I was like, whoa, but I wasn't being paid yet. And I was like, interesting, but it's so cool. I'm like, what do I care? Like, I'm traveling.
In the beginning, it's like them opportunities you're trying to get.
Exactly.
And then you find out you need to pay your rent, and then it ends up being you need to do the trade-off.
Exactly. So I forget who was the first one that paid me. But yeah, I worked with like a bunch at this point. I've worked with a lot of sex toy brands. I worked with like skin condoms. I'm pretty open to like I've worked with like different nail polish brands, which is kind of like how I started. Like I always wanted to be in the nail space. Like I went like, segueing into my beauty brand. Like I've always wanted to have my own beauty brand. I've always wanted to start with nail polish. But then, I started working with some brands. It was great. I got to learn from different brands, working with them in a collaborative way. I remember, like I worked with like OPI, I think for Coachella one year. Like they paid me to post at Coachella, and like I worked with Orly on something. So I got to work with different brands, like really learn about like just how nail polish brands work. I don't know, just I didn't know the difference. I didn't know. I just knew I love nail polish.
I love that you got those deals because that's
Yeah.
crossing gender boundaries, and that's the kind of stuff
Yes.
I wanted to know was possible, because for a while I was starting to lose focus on it. I mean, I try not to say that, but that's the reality of it. Like when so many no's, you know, I'm always trying to keep it trucking and believe in myself, but I want to ask this one question because and not only for myself but for anyone who's listening, do you have any type of like management helping you sort through this? Because as I've grown, I have received hundreds of sponsorship opportunities, and come to find out, so many are spam. So part of my frustration has been I literally have gotten fake emails from Nike and Fenty, and my heart's beating like I got a deal, and I open it and I can basically tell that it's fake. So do you have any help with you out there with that?
So yeah, I've had a couple of different managers over the years. I've worked with just like, I guess I've been with 3 different management companies, like social media management companies. My current manager, their name is Marvin, and the company is called Beyond XY, and it's a really cool company, a really cool agency. They just really represent like queer and like unique and different people. Like all the people on the roster are just very unique and interesting and awesome.
Oh wow.
And this is the first time I've been on a roster of people who are like that. Like usually in the past I've been on rosters that are very like traditional social media talent. Yeah, like, you know, so
that's the sites that I've noticed about talent agency or managing. I go to it and I see who they're working with, and it just looks like the same person. And I'm like, where's the variety?
And what I learned was, because of that factor, like out of all the, besides the one I'm currently at, the one I'm currently at is a little bit different. Like we're working in a different way. It started off where it was going to be like social media management, but it's actually transitioned more into like just talent management. Like Marvin is a really good sounding board and it's like helping me like guide me through my career. And like, so it's changed a little bit. Like he'll still handle any sort of social media deals that come through, but it's been more like collaborative in that way and more artist like talent management. The past companies I worked with that were just for social media management, what I learned was like I left them because I wasn't getting any work. Like they weren't getting me any work because I think it's because their rosters were made up of like one type of person.
Right.
And the brands that were going to them for their roster were looking for that one type of person. So I always stood out, but I was never what the brand was going to choose, because that's not what they were looking for, because they were going for a specific thing at a specific company. So I just kind of learned that, like, you know, I was not going to get anywhere. Even though I worked with wonderful people, like my managers themselves were amazing, but just they couldn't do anything if a brand didn't want to book, you know, a fat, queer, bearded, like fashion, whatever. It's like they didn't want to book that. So it was frustrating for everyone involved.
Yeah.
But this new situation is just different. It's not like I don't have the expectations of like, where is the booking? It's more like like we're talking about music, and we're talking about music videos and tours, and we're also talking about how can we bring brands into the conversation. So it's like it's just a different, like bigger scope conversation.
A better vision, it sounds like.
It's just bigger, wider. So I think management's great. I think management's wonderful, but it's just a matter of like, unless you have a lot of deals coming in, like it's probably not really worth it. Like unless you have a lot coming in, it might not be 100% worth it for you. But I mean, I just may have a very different experience.
Honestly, any platform where it's open to people like us in our community is worth trying. So when we get off, I would love that information just to see. Just I haven't even met any company that specifically, 100%. You know, let people in like us.
100%.
But so we learned so much about you during this interview, between CEO, songwriting, music, therapy, feeling cute.
YouTube. Oh wait, I didn't even tell you about Party. We didn't even talk about it.
Yeah, you just said you whatchamacallit, that's what led you to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't say do you have more you want to talk about it? I would love to hear more.
I could talk about Party forever. I know we've done this. But yeah, but I'll quickly tell you about Party. So Party, I wanted to make a nail polish brand forever, for like a decade. And then like I literally was like trying to get to work with different brands on it, and it just wasn't ever working out. And this is a good thing for people to think about when they're creators. Like if you keep trying to work with somebody or a brand or whatever, maybe collaborate, whatever, it's just not working. At some point you may just have to be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it myself. So I literally was like, you know what? I'm gonna launch my own nail polish brand. Like, why not?
I love it.
And so I ended up reaching out to my best friend, Greg, and he was like, I've been waiting for this day. I've been asking you for like 7 years now to start a brand. And so he signed on, and it was like within 7 months, we like figured everything out, created the brand, created the LLC, created everything, built the business.
Wow.
Like created packaging, designed websites. Like we did everything ourselves, me, Greg, and my husband. And then we launched in November. We have our launch video, which was starring Charisma Carpenter from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, which was like so crazy.
Yeah, I love all the promo work you've done. I think that's what's so weird about, like, you're like, oh, we didn't talk about it. And it's so weird because I'm like, it seems like it's been around forever. Does that make sense? Like it feels, because it's
so new.
You do it so well. It's like, oh, this is he's had this brand for a decade. Like that's how it feels. So it's hard to be like, oh, it's new, but it is new, and you should be so proud of it because everything looks amazing.
Yeah, it's been really like such an eye-opening, like learning to become a CEO. Like that's crazy. To become a CEO and a founder of a brand where like I'm literally, it's me, Greg, and my husband are the only ones who are like in control of the fate of our company. It's like awesome, but also like so stressful. And like we've been having such amazing conversations lately about like these opportunities that I could never have dreamed of. So I'm very proud of it. Like, please, everyone, go check out Party. And if you're looking for nail polish,
oh, they will. I'm gonna have the links to your Spotify page, YouTube page, and the company all in the box.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Before I let you go, what I would like to know, how are you managing it all? How are you managing doing all of this? Because I get that question a lot. I have my hands in a bunch of buckets too, and I couldn't imagine it any other way. And I'm sure you're the same way. So what type of advice would you give to someone who is doing everything like us?
I would say listen to your body. Like I find myself, I sort of like flow with what's naturally in front of me. And I do tap into like, you know, party beauty, music, social media work, like my life with my husband. Like I tap into all these things all day, every day, like at different points. But some days I'm like, listen, today, music ain't it, sis. Like I'm not gonna be able to write today. So I gotta stop. Or if I'm like, hey, listen, I can't like focus on this meeting. Like luckily I have someone else who can pick up the slack. Like Greg can like come in and take that phone call. Like it's like just knowing like when you have the ability and the privilege to like take a step back from something to give yourself a breather. And if you don't, it's a matter of just learning how then to like, I have to do this, or I have to learn how to like sort of compartmentalize it and say like, hey, it's like one thing at a time. Okay, right now we're doing this, and then we're gonna do this. And that's it. And then when we're done with that thing, it's like, here, we did this, now we're gonna do this. It's like really learning, and especially when you're your own boss, you have to learn how to manage yourself. It's like very like, sometimes I write notes, sometimes I have it in my calendar. Like it's just a matter of like listening to your body, but also knowing when certain things you can't wait on them. Like some things have to happen, and making sure you prioritize those things that have to happen, and the things that you know will make you feel good, but like you don't have the energy for it. If you can wait on it, let yourself wait on it. Like don't make yourself do everything all at one time. It's overwhelming, you get burnt out.
Take breaths. And I think as creators and artists, we genuinely love what we do. And I know my problem ends up being is I love it so much, I will forget those breaks. And it shouldn't be that way. Like, so I've been reminding myself lately to even take a break from the things I love. Which is hard because when I have a minute, I want to make music. When I have a minute, I want to do a YouTube video. So it's weird that has become my life's work at the same way. So I've had to definitely find that balance.
And you were so great. Like we were supposed to do this interview last week, and then I was sick, and then you were like, listen, just like take a beat, like, you know, like feel better. And I was like, that's so nice to have someone who, it's because you understand it. Like you live it also, so you get it. It's like, sometimes you gotta take a beat. I
wanted to even tell our viewers about that we had scheduled this a week ago and you weren't feeling well. And of course I was up for rescheduling because mental health, physical health, family, all that shit comes first. So interviews, video uploads, all that is like secondary. You have to feel good. You have to be at your best. And I would have never wanted you here if you were not at your top best. So I'm happy you were feeling better.
So much better. Such a better week. So
I love it. So where can everyone find you? Like I said, I'm going to plug all your stuff down below, but do you want to let them know verbally where they can find you?
Yeah. Okay. So you can find all of my music as Lord Troy on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Amazon, everywhere music is streamed. You can follow me on Instagram at Lord Troy, and I'm on TikTok at Lord Troy Music.
Yeah.
And Party Beauty, go to partybeauty.com. It's PARDE beauty.com or our Instagram at Party Beauty.
I love it. And I'm going to have all that stuff linked below, guys.
Yeah.
I really, really, really want you to check out his music and don't just put it on in the background. I want you guys to get into it. It's very therapeutic, very relaxing. Check out his brand, check out the TikTok, check out the Instagram. Everything is high quality content with Troy. I live for it. I'm inspired. I'm so proud of you and so excited to see what you do going forward. And yeah, just so excited. And thank you everyone for watching. And if you need to rewind this and go back with a pencil and paper, I think you should, because I think you're top-notch influencer. And I think that even just in our cute little conversation, like this was a regular conversation, but I know for a fact that there was a hell of a lot of beneficial information in here that will help people. So I appreciate you being so vulnerable and opening up about your journey. And I'm so excited to watch it continue.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. I definitely want to come back and we could talk about a million things forever. So
yes, no, we could honestly we could pick any topic and go off, but we'll try to keep it professional.
Like and comment if you want a round two. Like and comment on round two.
Yeah, definitely comment below if you're ready for us to analyze the shit out of his new songs.
Yes, let's do it.
I would love to do that with you.
Oh, I'm so down.
All right, guys, make sure you comment below. Let me know what you want to see next. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to Troy on YouTube, follow him on Instagram. Also, don't forget to go subscribe to my main channel, my variety channel, Nigel Battle, where I have my original drag music videos, regular music videos, vlogs. I do everything over there, so check that out. Also, definitely subscribe to this coaching channel so you can learn how to grow your brand, how creators grow, how they become who they want to be. All that information is here for you to enjoy. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.